Hello, I'm Brian Boteller from the Gospel Rescue Mission, and this is we want to discuss with you some of the questions that you might have regarding the video that we did called Bristol and the Yard Invaders that had a little animation in it, and just wanted to talk about that video for you. So one of the questions we get is, why would you make a video like that? Some people just get it immediately. A good chunk of our audience were just like, yes, that makes perfect sense, thank you. But there's a lot of you that's still saying, why in the world would you do that? And well, there's an issue that I think that gets missed, and I wanted to try and tell it in a way to try and get the attention of people in a way that might help them see it. And so what I did was we created a story, okay? We created a story in which we wanted to tell it from somebody that we think, from the position of, or the focal point of somebody that we feel like would be an easy person to want to defend. A single mom with 3 kids with her own place to stay. Now, you know, whether she's renting or owning, it doesn't really mean. It's the house that she pays for. And I think anybody that doesn't admire any single parent that's able to pull that thing off is you know, really, they're really out of touch, because that's a person that should draw out of all of us a desire to want to protect and defend. So that was my character that I wanted to kind of use this storyline to. And then what I wanted to do was just take all of the arguments that we get about why we do what we're doing in our city parks, in the ways we're doing them. I want to take all those arguments, but I wanted to put them in her backyard. I wanted to put them in the single mom's backyard. I wanted it to come from the neighbors of the people of this single mom in her backyard. Because everybody that's making these arguments for why they're doing what they're doing, the kind of support that they're giving to the people in the parks, well, they're our neighbors. They're people right here in our community. They're people that we will go down and have a Dutch Brothers with, you know, and share coffee with, we work with. We maybe go have a beer with after work or whatever, and enjoy some pizza or whatever we're doing. They're not our enemies, and they're not people that we hate. They're just people that are coming at a solution from the perspective of, maybe I don't know a whole lot, but here's what I do know how to do. I know how to make a sandwich, and I can go and give somebody a sandwich, right? And there's a sense in which that's a good and noble thing. You'd expect that most people would do that, and people would go, wow, that's really kind. That's a good thing to do. And so what we said, well, okay, but would it be a good thing to do if you were in this if the homeless person was in this single mom's backyard? Then would it be a good thing to do? And want to think that thing through. Same thing, you know, well, like right now, I mean, as long as when the wind doesn't blow, I can smell a little bit of fecal matter and everything. I can smell some septic here in the area. But when the wind's blowing, I can't, and it's fine and all. But some people would say, well, the solution to that is you need to put more porta potties out there. And we have those here. And I go, okay. Let's take that, and would we say the same thing if it was in the single mom's backyard? And how would it sound to the single mom? How might it sound to her as she's hearing her neighbors make that suggestion? Now, this is the overall thing that I'm trying to accomplish is to try and get people to see, you know, from a different angle. You'll notice that at the beginning of our animated video, the Bristol video, is that at the beginning we have a little blurb, and it's a hypothetical, running the idea out like a hypothetical, the same way that the Supreme Court does when they're trying to work through arguments. They're trying to work through how does this apply, and how would it apply in this hypothetical situation? Can we apply it consistently? So This is all we're doing. We're creating a fairy tale in which it's a hypothetical, and we're kind of going, what would happen? What would happen if we put this scenario in somebody's backyard? Because in a lot of ways, this is somebody's backyard. We're here in Tussing Park. There's neighbors all around. On the way out here, we saw the school. We were behind a school bus that had to stop, maybe 3 or 4 times to let kids out along the way. We know that people live nearby here, and so that's kind of the issue that we're trying to solve is, just bringing that idea in and asking ourselves, well, if I was somebody who lived right next door, how would it feel to me? Would it feel very Christian to me if I saw a church come in and start giving out sleeping bags and sandwiches and everything to the people who are causing my neighborhood problems, that are coming in and I'm seeing stuff being stolen off my neighbor's porch. I'm seeing stuff, my car's being vandalized and this kind of stuff. And instead of saying they got to go, these people are just treating them like neighbors. And so it's kind of just a way of like trying to get a perspective shift and think that thing through. Now, I know there's a lot of people that might say like, well, why did you use the names that you used? And I would say, look, in no case in any of these things was any one particular person's name attached to a character with any real intention, except for the villain of the story, whose name is Brian. I decided that I would own the villain name so that nobody would feel like, my goodness, this guy's trying to, put some kind of smash on somebody else in the community. But I was going to use names that were relevant to the story that people will be looking up on Google. So if they're looking up on Google and they're saying, boy, I want to know about Grants Pass homelessness, and I think their mayor's name is Sarah Bristol, okay? Or I think the guy's name is Brian blah, 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 because I don't know how to spell his last name, okay? And, or maybe I know that there's a Tussing Park or a Baker Park, or maybe I know one of the city council members' name's Valerie or whatever. And so I'm just trying to get those things in so that in a Google search, the video will come up. Because as much as this is about Grants Pass, it's about all of America right now. I mean, everybody's going to have to deal with this idea. Every city on the West Coast is going to have to deal with this idea at some point in time, and everybody's trying to figure out how to solve it. They're trying to solve the problem. I don't think anybody is coming down here trying to intentionally make it bad for everybody, but sometimes what our intentions are, like this video itself, like the animated video, what our intentions are and what the results might be as far as the way people are feeling, the way people are interacting with it, might end up being different. And that's why we're doing this video, is just to kind of talk through. What was your thinking? What were you thinking? So why were you thinking about using the name Bristol? Well, because I think, A, Bristol's a pretty girl's name, and it happens to be the last name of our mayor. She's the one that we ought to defend. So I'm not saying that, I'm not saying anything bad about our mayor or anything. I want this person to be the person to defend. She represents your city and mine. She represents Grants Pass. She represents all of us in some way, and I want us to think about how are we going about defending her, because sometimes what I end up doing when I'm trying to help is I end up hurting people. When people will get online and say, well, Brian, you're not being like Jesus enough, and you guys aren't Christian enough, or whatever. And the funny thing is that the people that I really wanted to draw us, the responses that I wanted people to have their attention drawn to, was the reactions of the neighbors to our character in the story. And it's funny because most of the outrage is coming from people, our neighbors, who are reacting exactly the same way. They're Well, that's not very Christian. Well, that's not what a Christian should do. Tisk tisk, you know. Well, you shouldn't make them read the Bible and stuff. And and so clearly, you know, their response is exactly what I'm pointing out, that the response is a bad response, and it's one that's not particularly thoughtful in all of this. And I'd want to help them understand, you know, if we're going to try and take into consideration the feelings and the needs of the folks that are living right behind me, and I'm not saying we shouldn't try to do this. We have been doing this kind of thing for generation now, an entire generation now in Grants Pass at the Gospel Rescue Mission, and we've been helping people out of homelessness. So you know, trying to mischaracterize us as not caring for the homeless is, you got a lot of people's lives that have been changed that you have to argue against, and a lot of people that we've done a lot of kindness to along the way that you would have to argue against to suggest that we're just not, that we don't care about people. But to really just go, you know, there's a way to care for them, and then there's a way that just enables, and actually it's not helpful. It actually keeps them in that bad spot. You know, it keeps them in a place where they're broken. I don't know where everybody needs to go. I know that there's an answer for, well, where's every single person here going to go? I know that I don't have the answer to that. I've never had the answer to that, and I would ask you, you know, how bad did that question concern you before this all came up and they started coming into our parks? Because it concerned us enough that we were trying to do something about it since 1983 in Grants Pass at the Gospel Rescue Mission. We've been at this for a long time, and we've been trying to do something. And we know that we're not everything for everybody. We've never tried to be everything for everybody. So there's more things to build, and there's more things to do, and we're only going to do it if we're working together. For those of you that just, you know, those people that want to just, you know, bag on us and say, you know, man, you guys just are driving people away from Jesus and not being Christian enough and everything, who are not convinced after this conversation, I'm not sure I'll ever be able to convince you anyways. And I would say in some ways, you know, yes and amen. I mean, look, I'm not enough to drive you to Jesus. That's his responsibility. I'm not enough to save anybody. Never have claimed to do that. That's Jesus's job. You know, so I would hope that you'd pray for us. I'd hope that you'd support us. I'd hope that you'd rethink kind of what we're doing. And you know, this thing that's behind me in 6 months from now will likely not be. But there's still that question of where they're going to go, and we really need to maybe sit down and strategize, create what's missing. You know, I know a lot of people want to get together and do, you know, tell everybody what they're already doing, and we at the Gospel Rescue Mission like to do that. I'm not saying that that's wrong, but I'm saying what we really ought to maybe do is let's find out what our gaps are, and let's see what we can build. Maybe we can build the solution to that together. We're neighbors, and if we're gonna do something, you know, really great, if we're gonna help the people behind us and the people that'll come in behind them, because this won't be the end of homelessness. Anybody that thinks they're gonna end it is just naive, and it's not gonna go away just because we want it to go away. There's going to be another group right behind them and another group behind them, and we want to be the thing that we can be as a community, and that only comes when we're being good neighbors. When we're being good neighbors, we can unite together, we can come together, and we'll be stronger together than we are apart. So I would just encourage you to not let this thing divide us. The conversation was started. I poked the bear. I got it out in front of everybody. I tried to, you know, tell a story that would help people understand, maybe from the perspective of a group of people that are being victimized, that are really not your enemies. They're not my enemies. They're the people, they're your neighbors. They're the people they're the single moms who used to have this park to come down and bring her kids down to and play all day and have fun and throw the Frisbee around and take the dog, and they're scared. And this isn't a place for that anymore. So We'd like to have it back. I think that you'd like to have it back, and I think that together we can defend Bristol. We can defend those in the park at the same time, but we want to do it right, and we want to do it in a way that doesn't harm our neighbors. So that was my intention. Clearly, just like, if I intend to make a really great dinner and it doesn't work, in our family we just say, well, we can eat pizza. And we just do that. If you don't like our video, you have all the power. Just stop it, turn it off, or watch any of the other 200 or so videos that we have of great testimonies of people whose lives have been changed, of the great stories that are happening because of the work at the mission, and maybe just chalk it up to, hey man, Brian doesn't bat 1,000. I'm okay with that. And I hope that what you end up walking away with at least is that I do what I do because I love what I do. I believe people can change, and I love this community. I really love Grants Pass. I have all of my best friends are here. All of my life is here. And we want to help, and I'm not the enemy of the mayor, and I'm not the enemy of the city council, and I'm not the enemy of even those citizens who come down who maybe are, doing things in ways that I really disagree with. I'm not their enemy. And I'm not here to throw stones at them. My job is to build what I think is the right thing, and just do that really well. And so this was not in any way an attack or anything like that. It was to be thought-provoking. And hopefully we get the chance to listen and think and maybe use a little discernment in the whole time. I hope there's some grace out there for me, and at the same time, I guess I can't stop the wrath, the flood of comments coming in, all the negative Google reviews and everything. You fight your battles, I guess, the way you feel is best to fight them. We're going to still be here tomorrow, and long after this is done, we're going to still be here. We'll keep trying to help people get out of homelessness. I want to help these people. I don't believe that they're stuck like this forever. I think that they can change. I think that they can have the same life that you and I have, and I think those are lives worth living. And I think that you and I can be good encouragements to that end. So let's try, shall we? God bless you. Thank you for taking the time to listen, and I hope you guys all have a great day.